the chosen one. This message did not find you by chance. God has brought you here for a purpose. You've been looking for answers. You have been asking, why do I feel like I'm going through more than most? And to be honest, you've undoubtedly pondered why folks who don't even follow God seem to have life simpler, smoother, and lighter. But here is the reality. You hurt more because you are carrying more. What is happening in your life is not normal. It is anointed. And when you carry something divine, your process will be quite distinct from others around you. This is not punishment. It's time to prepare. This is not rejection. It is a refinement. This isn't a vulnerability. It's weight. Now let's go further. 7 chapters to help you realize why your pain is not a sign of failure, but rather an indication that greatness is on its way. Before we delve in, please like, share, and subscribe. Because this message is more than simply substance. It's a heavenly affirmation provided directly to the selected ones who have been asking why they suffer more than others. If your soul resonates with this frequency, type it in the comments right now. That number is more than just a sign. It is a holy code, a spiritual accord with the Most High that says, I know I have more and I'm ready to walk in what God has allocated to me. Not everyone will read the whole message. Only those who are actually selected to bear heavy glory will remain. Those who do will obtain clarity, healing, strength, and revelation, allowing them to better comprehend why their road has been more difficult and powerful. This is not something you hear once and then forget. This is a living word, layered with prophetic truth. Rewatch it as often as your soul directs, because each time you'll discover something deeper, something that tells you you're not being forced. You are carrying. Let me begin. Chapter 1. Your calling is hefty, thus your method had to be thorough. The chosen one. Allow this to settle in your spirit before taking your first breath. Heaven has marked you. You weren't born to blend in. You were assigned to stand out. Not for acclaim, but for heavenly responsibilities. You carry something that generations rely on. Something holy, something heavy. And that type of calling does not guarantee an easy life. It comes with a refinement procedure. You've undoubtedly questioned why some around you seem to have it easier. Why are they coasting while you climb? Why are their routes so smooth, while yours seem like a battlefield? It is not because you are doing anything incorrectly. It is because you are carrying something unique. Something hefty. A star. And with heavy callings comes great refinement. While some were trained in luxury, you were taught in fire, while others took shortcuts. You were forced to build character while they slept. You were wrestling while they celebrated. You were grieving, not because you were compelled, but because you were selected to carry something greater than yourself. God could not create you carelessly for something everlasting. He had to strain you till you cracked but never broke. He had to smash the pieces of you that couldn't make it where you're heading. He isolated you to remove any phony identities. He eliminated specific individuals to ensure that your foundation was not built on sand. Your method seemed personal, yet it was predictive. Your suffering was not coincidental. It was improving. Your pain was not a punishment. It was a preparation. You were getting ready not just to stand, but to stand under pressure. Because the mantle over your life is not light. You are supposed to lead others and stop generational patterns. To speak while others remain mute. Carry oil that cannot be purchased, borrowed, or copied. This is why the training has to be tough. Every layer that touched your pillow was not wasted. Every deep-cutting betrayal was trained for. It developed spiritual muscle. Every door slammed in your face. It was God who said, "Wrong room. I am preparing you for more." And even when you couldn't grasp it, you screamed out to God, "Why me?" Heaven had already responded. Because the items you carry are too important to mishandle. You were not created for the spotlight. You were fashioned in the darkness. You were not created via applause. You were created through hardship. You were not picked for easy. You were picked for everlasting influence. So certainly your procedure has taken longer. Yes, your journey has become lonelier. Yes, your struggles have been deeper. But so is your calling. And now you're entering a time when all you've been through will finally make sense. Not because life has suddenly become simpler, but because you have been willing to bear the burden of glory that others cannot. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're being revealed. And what God is planning to accomplish through you. It took all you went through, every loss, scar, and lonely night, for greatness does not come easily. It rests on the sacred. And that's you. Chapter 2. You were targeted because you were identified as the chosen one. Have you ever wondered why some fights seem to find you? Regardless of how attentive you are. Why have you had certain assaults that were highly intimate, almost surgical? Why does it seem that the conflict you've experienced is intended not just to injure you, but also to crush your spirit? Here is the truth. You is because heaven has marked you, and hell recognizes you. You are not average. You are not ordinary. You are anointed. The spiritual dimension is aware of this as well. Before others could affirm you, before you even realized your own potential, your existence on earth sent a signal to the spirit. This one serves a purpose. And you became a target as soon as that call was initiated, even if you weren't aware of it. Not because you're weak, but because you are dangerous. The opponent does not assault. What isn't threatening him? He does not spend energy on things that are powerless. If the fighting has been severe, it is because your future is important. Every time you're on the verge of a breakthrough, something happens. Every time you achieve clarity, confusion arose to obscure it. Every time you began creating anything, you sought to demolish it. That's not a coincidence. That is warfare. Because you are ridiculed, and the adversary has studied your habits, trauma, and history. He custom-designed assaults to puncture your innermost scars, convincing you that you were cursed, neglected, unwanted, and worthless. But none of this was true. It was all a ruse to make you give up before you even realized what you were carrying. He tried to wear you down early so that when your season arrived, you were too discouraged to participate. But this is what he didn't expect. You did not fold. You did not quit. You did not remain down. You are still here. And that alone demonstrates that you are stronger than the sorrow that sought to kill you. Do you see what the adversary attempted to use to break you? God is now revealing you. The assaults were more than merely resistance. They were confirmations. Your calls, your coverage, your choice, and the enemy's zeal have only shown how far heaven intends to carry you. Every spiritual approach that challenged your intellect, economics, and identity, and everything had a same objective. To prevent the appearance of what? God has already spoken over you. But it didn't work because you're carrying more than what's coming at you. What's within of you is greater than the pressure around you. And no amount of demonic targeting can remove a heavenly marking. Others were unable to survive what you did. You went through what was meant to ruin you. You are not still standing due to luck. You're standing with purpose. And now your wounds are louder than your quiet. Your perseverance is your proof. Your perseverance is prophetic. So next time you question, why am I going through so much? Remember this. You are being targeted because you are marked. Hell knows it. Heaven confirmed it. And now it's your chance to stroll through it. Chapter 3. Your sensitivity is an indication of spiritual power. The chosen one. Let's speak about something you've undoubtedly heard all your life. You are overly sensitive. You experienced more powerful feelings than others. You've entered rooms and sensed energy change. You've seen through masks when no one else saw anything unusual. For a long time, you may have seen this as a weakness, something to be fixed, hidden, or silenced. But here is the reality. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. It is a wonderful gift. It is discernment. It's depth. It is spiritual power shown in physical form. The world does not comprehend. You suffer more because you have a higher perception. You don't only hear what others say. You feel things they don't. You don't just observe events. You absorb atmospheres. As a result, your spiritual burden is typically larger than others. You may go into a room and instantly detect tension. You can sense when someone's vibe is off. Even if they're smiling, you may sense hidden motives without a specific cause. That is not paranoia. That is prophetic sensitivity. And sure, it is tiring. Yes, it makes you want to retreat at times. Yes, it may be overwhelming to be around too much noise or too many people at once. But here's a lovely, frequently missed reality. God made you this way on purpose. You're not broken. You're not unstable. You're not too much. You're just tuned onto a frequency that most people cannot hear. You are a vessel, a hallowed one that God used to see the unseen and hear the unsaid. You are a spiritual sense or a kingdom instrument, picking up vibrations from places that others are unaware of. That is why your suffering frequently seems more acute, since you are not only dealing with your own agony, but also bearing what others cannot notice. That's why certain surroundings exhaust you. That's why casual chats seem superficial. That is why you want silence. Your soul is always functioning, sensing, sifting, and discriminating. But do not condemn your sensitivity. Consecrate it. Surrender it to God. Let Him show you how to protect it. Manage and utilize it. Your sensitivity is a tool, not a trap. It was never intended to crush you, but rather to lead you. This is how the Holy Spirit often communicates with you. Not in words, but in weight. And the more sensitive you are, the more holy your mission. It takes strength to carry what you have. It takes bravery to feel strongly in a numb environment. It requires effort to perceive without responding. It requires wisdom to know when to talk and when to just pray. Don't be confused by the world's labels. You are not emotionally weakened. You are spiritually alert. You're not excessively sensitive. You are highly anointed. And although it may seem like a burden at times, your capacity to experience what others don't is what defines you as the vessel. God can rely on you to hear His whispers over the cacophony. You feel His nudges in the quiet. You sense His presence, even if the room does not recognize Him. That is not typical. That is sacred. So the next time someone calls you too often, just smile. Because what others see as a fault is really your hidden power. You are not overly sensitive. You are spiritually in sync. And that is precisely why you suffer more. Because God trusts you with what others are unable to bear. Chapter 4. Your solitude was not accidental. The chosen one. Let me chat about one of the most misunderstood aspects of your trip. Isolation. Even your closest friends cannot understand the loneliness you have suffered. A profound, wordless anguish that words cannot describe. You may be in a room full of people and yet feel invisible. You may have supports yet still feel misunderstood. And to be honest, you frequently wondered whether there was anything wrong with you. But let this reality to settle in. Your solitude was not a mistake. It was a wonderful plan. Your path was never supposed to be crowded since your calling is uncommon. Your anointing is not typical. You are not meant to be part of the throng. You are meant to lead, to intervene, disrupt patterns, and create kingdom influence. And for that, God had to take you away. Isolation is not necessarily punishment. Sometimes it's about preparedness. Sometimes it's for protection. And sometimes it's just sacrosanct. God had to keep certain individuals away from you, not because you weren't loving, but because they weren't meant to be your purpose. He did not allow some doors to open. Not because you were unqualified, but because they would have tainted your integrity. He let your phone go dry. He allowed relationships to break apart without notice. He permitted some individuals to avoid, disregard, and remove themselves from you. Why? Because He was teaching you one of the most important things a chosen one should learn. My presence is sufficient. When the applause ended, He stayed. When His pals went, He remained. When it seemed as if no one noticed your efforts or anguish, He was monitoring, refining, and shaping. You were not being penalized. You were being preserved. Preserved from distractions, early exposure, and settings that might have caused you to shrink rather than expand. And the deeper your calling, the more personal your training had to be. Others learned via acclaim and fame, but you learned through quiet and darkness. They were lauded in the limelight. You were being fashioned in isolation. Because what you hold is too valuable to be poured out prematurely. All that has not developed will leak. Gifts that have not been preserved will be abused, and callings that have not been developed in secret may be destroyed in public. So, God kept you concealed. Not because you weren't ready for others, but because they weren't ready for the version of you that has emerged after the quiet seasons. Now that you've sobbed on floors, no one has seen you intervene in rooms, No one has entered and stayed loyal when everything seems to be still. You're stronger, clearer, and unshakable. And soon, those who could not make way for you will be silenced by what God reveals through you. Because holy solitude always comes before divine exaltation. So don't be upset by the silence. Do not curse the stillness. Do not hurry out of isolation. God has been preserving, not punishing you. He's been whispering to you in whispers, preparing you to yell. And when the time comes, there will be no need to make an announcement. It will include proof. You were not rejected. You were polished. You were not forgotten. You were concealed. You were not alone. You were being anointed. The chosen one. Your seclusion was sacred, and heaven is going to reveal why. Chapter 5. You were designed to withstand what would shatter others. The selected one. Let's reveal the truth, which you sometimes want to avoid. You're stronger than you know. You may not always feel powerful. You may weep behind closed doors. You may be wrestling with ideas that no one else sees. You may awaken some mornings feeling as if you have nothing left to contribute. But the fact that you're still here, standing and going on, despite everything that's attempting to tear you down, proves one thing. You were made differently. You've endured things that would have crushed someone else. You've been through storms that would have sent others fleeing. You've gone through fire, which should have destroyed you. And yet you did not break. You bent. You bled. But you did not break. Why? Because God did not make you to be comfortable. He created you for the purpose of calling. He hardwired your spirit to bear pressure. He prepared your faith to flourish in the face of adversity. He built your resilience in the depths where no acclaim could reach. You were not designed for mediocrity. You were made for greatness. This is why your road has seemed so weighty. That's why your life seems so complex. That is why your conflict seems surreal. Venting. It is because you are carrying more. You're not just managing your own life. You are bearing generational duty. You are bearing the delivery of bloodlines. You're carrying answers to prayers that your forefathers prayed but never got to see answered. You are bringing healing, restoration, leadership, and purpose. And it's not lightweight. That is why the conflict is more intense. That is why the assaults are so personal. That's why the load seems inexplicable. Because you are not typical. You were picked, and your life is not random. It is prophetic. Your survival is not fortunate. It is miraculously protected. Your strength is not ego. It demonstrates that God has allotted something to your hands. The chosen one. Hear it plainly. You were created to bear this. Yes, it is exhausting. Yes. Do you feel weary of constantly having to be the strong one? Yes. Some days you wonder, God, when's my time to be carried? Despite your exhaustion, you continue to show up. You keep praying even when you're exhausted. You continue to give even when you are depleted. You continue walking, even if you don't see the next step. And that is not a sign of weakness. That is strength. Fire purifies. You keep going even when others give up. When others whine, you commit. When others stop, you idolize because your strength does not come from inside. It's rooted in the person who phoned you. Your power does not come from applause. It is derived from the oil generated by crushing. Your strength isn't obvious. It's spirit-led. So never compare your life to others. You're not on the same route. You're cleaning out fresh ones. You're not just living a life. You are creating a legacy. There are also legacies. A built-in discomfort and pressure. With persistence. You were not designed to blend in. You were designed to bear what others couldn't manage. Chapter 6. Your procedure is establishing the norm for others. The chosen one. You must recognize something profound and holy in your sorrow. You're not simply surviving it. You are defining it. Your procedure isn't private. It may seem concealed, yet it is predictive. Every step you take, every struggle you confront, and every tear you shed, it is not just molding you. It establishes a benchmark for others. You're not just going through something. You are going first. You're paving the way for others to follow in the spirit realm. You're carrying a weight that most people won't even notice until it becomes apparent in their own lives. The intensity of your process reflects the influence of your plan. While others are coasting through surface-level seasons, you've been trekking through fire. While some are entertained, God has trusted you. Why? Because He is using your process as a heavenly example, a sacred instruction manual for those who will follow you. They may never tell you. You may never know their names. People are keeping an eye on things, however. They're paying attention to how you endure with grace, how you remain believing even when everything seems quiet, how to maintain loving after betrayal, how you keep turning up when your spirit is exhausted. You are preaching via your endurance. You are prophesying via your grief. You are testifying via your tears. Others are inspired not because your life is wonderful, but because you have not allowed hardship to undermine your praise. Your power does not come from having everything figured out. It comes from giving up when you shouldn't. Your faith is not loud. It's enduring. God did not just choose you to make it through. He picked you to demonstrate how to move through your narrative. Is forming a spiritual pattern. Your scars are forming survival maps. Your restoration is creating hope for others. You did not endure in vain. You did not lose for nothing. You did not stay in the shadows only to be forgotten. You are a living testament. That is why the suffering has become public, even when the procedures seem private. That is why your name has popped up in talks that you were not invited to. This is why some people can't understand why they adore you. It's because your soul is guiding them. You're giving folks permission to believe in themselves again, to faith that God can yet heal, to think they haven't gone too far, to think that obedience is still sacred. Believe that pain may nevertheless lead to greatness. Here's what it means to be selected. Your life becomes a prophetic declaration. You become the sermon. Your obedience creates the breakthrough. Others will stroll in. Your perseverance serves as the entryway. Others will come through. So, yeah, choosing one makes you suffer more, but your suffering is strategic. Your suffering has a purpose. Your procedure is not punishment. It is preparedness for others. You're not just a believer. You are a blueprint. You are not merely a survivor. You are a standard bearer. And when people look back, they will know it was the chosen one who taught us how to go through fire and emerge with light. Chapter 7. The splendor will always surpass the suffering. Let us now pull everything together. The chosen one. Take a quick look back. Not to linger, but to acknowledge the restless nights, the quiet chambers, and the betrayals you never expected. The prayers seemed like they were bouncing off the ceiling. The agony came in waves so powerful that it almost drowned you. The heartbreaks you couldn't talk about. Your mind fights quiet conflicts. Moments when you questioned everything. Even your call. And yet you're still here. Not only surviving, but rising. Everything you've gone through has something in common. It was not squandered. No moment, no scar. Not a single breakdown or rejection. Not even the stillness. Because God has been writing a tale through your life. A narrative that will end in glory, not tragedy. And the splendor that is coming. Chosen One is more than merely a prize. It's a heavenly reaction to the depths of suffering. You bore the burden. You did not abandon the load. You did not run away. Your name has been allocated a weight of glory that will not only equal, but transcend the pain you have undergone. God never provides sorrow without a reason. When He is ready to show His purpose, the evidence will be unmistakable. The identical places you bled silently will become the places you shine with elegance. Those who question your survival will have no option but to watch your rise. What shattered others will elevate you. Let it sink in. You suffered more because you were assigned to bear more. However, what you carried did not crush you. You were commissioned. It formed you. It disciplined you. It caused your roots to grow deep so that you might climb high. This wasn't just a storm. It was school. This was more than simply pressure. It was a preparation. And it wasn't just pain. It was a prophecy in action. So, yeah, you selected one. The procedure has been tough. It has been lonely. It was misconstrued. But one day, very soon, the heavenly exchange will occur. When the reward comes, when the fever takes over your life, when miracles happen, when doors open that you didn't even knock on, you'll know something fundamental. It was all worthwhile. Not because you appreciated the agony, or because you didn't weep throughout it, but because you believe in the mission. And that's what made you unstoppable. You did not give up. You didn't get bitter. You did not dilute down your faith. You continue to show up, even when it hurt. And now, heaven is ready to let go. So stand tall. Lift your head. Shake the dust off your beliefs. You aren't weak. You're not broken. You aren't invisible. You're not forgotten. You were picked. And then the glory arrives in your life. When the promise materializes. When the seasons transition. When the holy lighting beams on the same area where you formerly sat in shadows. You will witness with your own eyes what heaven has already determined. That the glory was always more important than the agony. Your suffering was never a sentence. It was put up so that your tears would never go to waste. They were water for the harvest. And what you carry is going to alter everything. Not just for you, but for future generations.